There's a bowl game to be played, but of course, LSU is more concerned about 2024 and getting set for a championship run in a new SEC with Texas and Oklahoma included. Carter is here from Power Hour LSU and Power Hour SEC. Got to get on over there right here on YouTube. Carter, how you doing today?
I'm great, Mark. Even though I am an SEC guy, I'm still hurt for my Florida State brethren and sisterin out there. But yeah, life's good from an LSU standpoint, and we'll see when Jaden wins the big award this weekend. What's next for LSU?
So you are confident that Jaden Daniels will be the Heisman Trophy winner?
Yeah, I think after Bo Nix did what he did this past weekend, I think it's pretty clear that Jaden Daniels was the best player. Now, I can hear an argument for Michael Penix. I can also hear an argument from, the 13 bozos in Dallas, Texas for Jordan Travis, because apparently Jordan Travis can take down a multi-million-dollar college football playoff empire. But that's not here nor there. Jaden Daniels was the best player in college football this season. When you run the numbers, total yards per game, only him and Joe Burrow over 400 yards per game. You look at a more advanced stat such as EPA per play, nobody's even close to Jaden Daniels. And honestly, Mark, if you sit and just watch the game, you've watched a lot of college football. We've never really seen somebody quite like him. Like, we haven't seen anyone at this level since Lamar Jackson with this running ability. So I think when you factor all that in, Jaden Daniels should be your Heisman Trophy winner.
Agreed. How important is that to you and the LSU contingent?
Oh, it's huge. Look, there have been a lot of LSU fans that have honestly stooped for him on social media just nonstop. And this is a guy who's just been, blue collar, first one in, last one out, dealt with a lot of adversity. I've gotten to know a little bit more about Jaden. Don't know him personally, but I know people close around him. He's dealt with a lot of personal tragedy. He had another personal tragedy happen recently to him. So, look, this is a guy who is who's been through it, and all he's done is just play through injury and play at an extremely high level. And look, it's a really fun thing to see. Now, that doesn't mean that Bo Nix or Michael Penix didn't take massive leaps. They did, but Jaden Daniels deserves this award, and it's huge for the LSU brand. And obviously, the next big award, the Broyles Award will be announced in the next 24 hours for Mike Denbrock, the Joe Moore Award for the offensive line. But really, Mark, the LSU fan base is really pushing for Malik Neighbors to win the Biletnikoff. And that's not looking too good right now with Marvin Harrison being a Heisman finalist. So the Biletnikoff race is actually going to probably be the most interesting award race we have in college football this year.
I personally would like to see the Heisman Trophy winner play meaningful championship impactful games the entire season, but that is not Jaden Daniels' issue. And of course, once he stepped off the field against Alabama, that was out of play.
So you think it should be Michael Penix or Bo Nix?
No, I said I would prefer that be the case.
Okay.
But the definition of the award is simply the best player in college football. It has nothing to do with championship pedigree or anything like that. But that's what I would prefer because of the weight on that player and the ability of that player to come through in the clutch. And despite Washington doing a great job in the Pac-12 championship game, they obviously faltered as a team, and Penix did as a player down the stretch against pretty marginal competition. So Jaden Daniels, there is no question he had the best year. Bo Nix was somewhat close in that range, but he had the best year at the most important position. No question about that. And I still believe it's the most prestigious award in all of sports. People remember who wins the Heisman Trophy. You may not remember who wins the NFL MVP, but you remember Heisman Trophy winners. So much change. Yeah, so much change, Carter, in college football for all these teams during the offseason. They can do a complete makeover into 2024. What are you looking for in the transfer portal? Where do you think those needs are? And are we hearing rumblings of anyone connected to LSU?
Yeah, I think LSU is very unique in the transfer portal, more so than any other school, Mark, in college football, because there are so many Louisiana natives that don't get recruited by LSU. They go to another school with that chip on their shoulder and they produce. And it's every single year that these guys hop back into the portal and are still interested in coming back to LSU, even though they were overlooked by LSU or they didn't choose LSU at first. So you look at a guy like a Jordan Gilbert. He played high school football on LSU's campus at University High. He enters the portal from Texas A&M. Texas A&M has a lot of Louisiana natives. Will Shepard, Louisiana native, one of the best receivers in the SEC, is in the portal from Vanderbilt. So those are a bunch of sexy names. Trevor Etienne at Florida, that have Louisiana ties. I think the two biggest questions when it comes to the portal is, will LSU get a quarterback out of the portal? Obviously, they are totally 100,000% behind Garrett Nussmeier this next year, but I think they will go pick up another portal quarterback to come in and compete for the backup role or potentially the starter's role. And obviously, Mark, Brian Kelly just got off the podium with the media. He says that he's not yet made any personnel decisions as far as coaching is concerned, right? They're still doing recruiting. They got exit interviews coming up. So he's not yet officially made a coaching change. And there are a lot of LSU fans that want to see a change at the defensive coordinator position.
Do you have a personal wish list of quarterbacks based on who's available now or who you anticipate to be available? Or do you know of anyone that has connections to LSU that might be visiting?
Yeah, Mark, MJ Morris, the NC State quarterback who created quite a bit of controversy for quitting on Mississippi State, I'd say Mississippi State, NC State, which is what he did. He's out there, and obviously he's very talented, and I'm very open to him coming into the room. He gives you a little bit more of a dual thread option as a QB, but honestly, Mark, there are so many good portal quarterbacks that are out there. I think every team should be trying to improve their quarterback room via the portal, right? We've seen the best quarterbacks in college football be transfer portal quarterbacks. And I hate bringing up the Florida State thing again, but who your backup quarterback is apparently matters a whole F a lot. So, I mean, if there's any team out there and they see the names that are in the transfer portal, it is crazy to not kick the tires on it at the very least. So I think LSU is going to be very active in the transfer portal for a QB, but I think every team honestly is, Mark, at this point.
There could have been an argument made going into this season that KJ Jefferson was in the range of a Jaden Daniels. They obviously separated in regards to the seasons they had, but you've seen a lot of KJ Jefferson, I'm sure. What are your thoughts about him in particular?
Yeah, I'm a huge KJ Jefferson fan, huge. To the point where, on my LSU channel, they were like, "Wait, is there something wrong with you? Why do you like this guy so much?" Because not this year, but the year before, he had a 70-plus QBR versus every Power 5 team he played. That is really hard to do at a school like Arkansas. And this past year, the offense changed, which wasn't good for him. The offensive line was worse in the SEC. And the skill position guys were constantly hurt. The guys that actually were good and proven, right? So I think KJ could fit at a lot of different schools. I'm not sure if LSU is where he wants to go because Garrett Nussmeier has a good shot at beating him out, and he doesn't want a Spencer Sanders situation to happen. But I think he's a big-time starter. I think there are a lot of different schools that he could go to and play right away and be successful.
A lot of the elite programs outside the SEC kind of button up their recruiting classes early and then just hold on for dear life and try to bring it home. But it seems like there is more drama typically in the SEC and fights over players to the end. What is the mad rush for LSU in regards to any particular targets that are out there that are going to be key in making this class as good as it can be?
Yeah, we go back to Texas A&M, right? Not only do they fire Jimbo Fisher, Elijah Robinson, their ace recruiter goes to Syracuse now. And that was a huge W for LSU. Not only did he go, he went to a school in the North Pole, right? So there are guys that are committed and are being coached by or were coached by Elijah Robinson that are taking a serious look at LSU, and one of those guys is Gabriel Relaford, right? He is from North Louisiana, Shreveport Evangel High School, which has produced a lot of Louisiana players, especially of the 3-star variety, and he is in that 3-star range. He has a great motor, and he's a guy that is trending heavily towards LSU. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of Texas A&M commits in particular that LSU is poaching, right? They just got Weston Davis, an offensive lineman that was committed to Texas A&M to flip to LSU. So they're looking at a lot of those commitments and trying to get those guys home.
Mike Elko, a good hire?
Yeah, I think that was better than going with Mark Stoops. I'm not a big Mark Stoops guy. I think Mike Elko is a good fit. He knows the lay of the land at Texas A&M, and I personally would have gone with an offensive guy. That's just how I lean now in the modern game. But I could certainly see Mike Elko, who did a really good job at Duke, winning 7 or 8 games in year one, and then potentially 9, 10, 11 in year 2, year 3.
Speaking of defense, is there a DC that you or people that really know LSU inside and out really like?
Yeah, so I think LSU does need to go in a different direction as a defensive coordinator, and that's a difficult decision that Brian Kelly has to make because Matt House had an uphill battle. There was, a sick defensive line coach who wasn't available all this season for LSU. It was, a bad batch of transfers, right? So, I think there is a piece of Brian Kelly that feels sympathetic towards the situation that Matt House was given, but yeah, I mean, I like Lance Guidry at Miami. I think he's done a good job there. He is from, Louisiana originally. And I honestly just think that they just need to bring somebody else in, right? I don't think it's a case of where you absolutely positively need to know who you're going to get in place of who you have. Uh, Another name to keep an eye on is Blake Baker. He is also a Louisiana native. He is a defensive coordinator at at Missouri, and he coached at LSU, and he's coached at Louisiana Tech, and he loves Louisiana. So, look, I could see Blake Baker getting a head coaching job. He did so well this year in Missouri. So there's a lot of names that, honestly, Mark, LSU's a destination job for defensive coordinators, right? So even if there isn't just someone out there that LSU knows for sure would take the job, the point being is LSU is a top 5, top 10 defensive coordinator job. Wherever you are, you at least pick up the phone. So I could see a big name making a pretty drastic switch to come coach on the Bayou.
Carter's at Power Hour LSU and Power Hour SEC. It's right here on YouTube, just a click away. Got to check him out. Carter, appreciate you dropping the knowledge for us as always.
Let's go. I feel bad for Florida State. We'll talk soon, Mark.